Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first press conference of the year. And this one is really special because in the back of the room we have our veterans that are with us, our warriors. I'd like to give a shout out to Josh and Dave Reed with Window World for sponsoring this event. Really appreciate it, and a very special welcome to our veterans, our warriors in the back of the room. We could all put our hands together for our special guests today. Really excited to have them here. The least we can do and feed them and give them a great tour, because we are grateful for all of our folks in the military and those special people that are here today that serve our country, that protect us, to give us the opportunity to do what we love to do, whether it's installing some great windows or coaching football, whatever it might be, protecting our freedoms. And I, for one, I know I speak for everybody on our coaching staff that we're honored to have them here today, to say thank you to them and to let them know how grateful we are for the opportunity to do what we love to do, which is to work with young people. So please enjoy yourself. There's no penalty for piling on, right, Coach Kamish? They can go back for seconds, thirds. The kids have permission to eat every brownie and every cookie in the room. They got it all today. But excited to get this started with this football team this year. We've been in camp since August 1st. Kids have been going hard for the past 26 days, and we've talked a lot about the 46 new players we have in the program, which is the most we have since we started football back in 2009. But we have 64 returning players, and out of those 64, 53 have played football for Old Dominion. Some of them I'll talk about today have played significant football, have played good football, so we are very excited about our returning players as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't go right to the new stadium and the excitement with the new stadium. Wood Selig's here today, our athletic director, who started with that plan. This goes back a few years, along with President Broderick, the work they did to make this happen, the work that Steve Ballard, his crew, everybody at Old Dominion, basically a 2-year project, was done in 9 months. The finishing touches are being put on it now, right now as we speak, but I can tell you we've been in there 3 times as a football team to scrimmage. It's really exciting what it feels like. And from a player perspective, we've talked a lot about from the fan perspective. From a player perspective, what I can tell you is new and exciting about it. It's closer. The fans are right on top of us now. It's higher. It's louder. We had Alex Trevino and the band in there Saturday night, and it was as loud as I've ever heard it without the 22,000 people that will be there. So we're excited for this to be what it should be, a home field advantage, and we can't wait to get our fans in there Saturday night and get started. And I'll talk about our team first and then get into our opponent. Starting with our special teams, we return a veteran kicking game, which is critical, particularly when you get early in the season. It's important to have very good special teams. Our kickers, Nick Rice and Brad Davis, are back. Our punter, Bailey Cade, and our long snapper, B.R. Hatcher. Those are 4 critical positions, and we have 4 very good players at those positions. We have tremendous competition for starting spots on teams, as much as we've had in the history of our program. That has a lot to do with recruiting, the type of players we're recruiting now. There's more big skill players in the program, which you look for on special teams. We've got a number of key backups right now on offense and defense that are competing for starting jobs on teams, and that's something that Coach Bankins, our special teams coordinator, and myself love to have. Defensively, very good camp overall. Coach Blackwell and his staff have got the scheme inserted. Now it's a matter of figuring out what we do well and designing that versus the opponents that we play. We feel like in the defensive line we've got 10 players that can play good football for us, starting with defensive end. Keon White and Derek Wilder both had very good camps up front. The interior, Jeremy Miser, Jawan Ross. And then on the edge, Marcus Haynes and Ryan Henry at the bandit position, just to name a few there. At linebacker in our nickel position, our linebacker position, I feel arguably is the best 2 combined returning in the league. They have the most returning tackles Lawrence Garner and Jordan Young combined for 175 tackles last year. That's a lot of tackles at that position. And a couple of really good backups, Therese Dickerson and Demetrius Stitman, had really good camps for us. At our nickel position, Geronda Hall played good football there. We've worked Tank Scott, Justin Richardson, JoJo Heeden. We've developed some depth at that position. And then when you look at the secondary, we feel like we have 8 solid football players at that position. In terms of a two deep, this is the best we've had in terms of a two deep in the back end in our program's history, starting with Lance Boykin, Caleb Ford-Dement at the corner, Kelvin Bruton and JoJo Heeden at the safety position, and 4 solid backups at that position. That gives us the ability to rotate in football games. Offensively, we had a good camp overall. Our players are learning the scheme, what we want to accomplish there. We've got in the offensive line right now, there are currently 8 players that'll be in the rotation. We're hoping to develop more up front. It starts with our captain, Isaac Weaver, who started the most games on our team in our program. He started 24 games over 2 years, and Tony Barnett, a returning starter. And as I mentioned, there's good young players there that early in the season we want to find out what they're most comfortable playing position-wise, and it's important that they learn multiple positions. At running back, very good depth here. We have 5 players at the running back position that we feel good about. 3 of them are returning players from last year. Keyshawn Strong, who rushed for 500 yards, also is a good receiver for us out of the backfield. Elijah Davis, who played in the 4 games last year that you were allowed to play in as a freshman before we redshirted him. He's had a good spring and a good camp. And Matt Geiger, who played good football for us. We moved Blake Watson from wide receiver to the running back position. We did it in the spring. He's practiced there in the spring and the summer, had a very good camp, and then added Robert Washington, transfer running back from Charlotte that we feel like can provide depth. He's still learning the position, good football player. At wide receiver, we feel like right now we've got 9 quality players we can put out on the field that can play, still developing some of the younger guys at that position, starting at wide receiver with Stevie Williams, who will play both. He'll play quarterback and wide receiver, but he's practiced the last couple weeks primarily at wide receiver. He's learning the position, getting better. He's a dynamic athlete. Jay Kerslow, Aaron Moorhead, good camps, and then Eric Kuma for the past weeks had a very good this past week of practice. Obviously, we know what he can do from his game experience, having 50 catches last year at Virginia Tech. But I've been really pleased with Eric, and not only his ability to play, but his leadership in the room, what he's doing to help the younger players at that position. At tight end, we returned Dante Anthony, who started 11 games last year as a true freshman, and Marcus Joyner, who's played the position for a couple years, had a very good camp, and then added Chris Cunningham, also from Virginia Tech. And Chris is a dynamic player. He can do a lot of things, not only in the run game, but in the pass game. And along with Eric, I've been really pleased with Chris, his leadership ability, how he works with the other players on the team, not just at tight end. And to have Chris here is good for our team. At quarterback, I mentioned Stevie Williams, who will play quarterback and wide receiver for us. You may see him in this football game at both positions. You may see at times we're on the field, we got a couple quarterbacks that can play on the field at the same time. Both Stone Smart and Messiah DeWeaver, who joined us in January, have progressed really well. We're pleased with the progress they're made. We're really pleased with the progression from the spring through the summer and how much more they've developed. And when I look at the quarterback position now, what I feel really good about is not only do we have 3 guys that can throw the ball well, we've got 3 big athletic guys that can also run the ball. That'll give us the ability to play 12-man football, which we did not have the ability to do that last year. You're talking about 3 guys that are all 6'3", 220 pounds, strong arms, ability to escape in the pocket on pass plays when they need to, ability for us to run some quarterback run games. So I anticipate all 3 of them will play Saturday night. We'll progress through the week with the position, then we'll make a decision on who'll be the first guy out to take the field when we get to game time. Moving on to our opponent, Norfolk State, head coach Latrell Scott, who I know well. I don't have any doubt in my mind he'll have his team ready to play. What really jumps out about Norfolk State is this is a veteran football team. They have veterans at every position. Latrell's talked about the fact that this is the most experienced team he's had going into his 5th year at Norfolk State. You start offensively with the quarterback. Jawan Carter's a dynamic player. He averaged 230 yards passing a game. Last year, he threw 13 touchdown passes. He runs the ball well. He rushed for 340 yards last year. Not all design run. He's got the ability to escape and move in the pocket. 2 veteran running backs in Savage and Brent. They're both seniors. They combined for 700 yards rushing last year, and they've got some good skill players. Like us, they're young at the wide receiver position, but they have some quality players. And this is a veteran offensive line. They have 73 combined starts up front in their offensive line. Defensively, they return one of the top defenses in FCS. They were a top 15 defense last year. They were top 10 in pass defense. They held people to 150 yards or less last year. A couple of very dynamic players that I'll speak to. A safety they moved to linebacker, Chavis, who had 71 tackles, 5.5 sacks last year, is an excellent player. And another safety, Price, had 59 tackles, and he got his hands on a ball 12 times overall last year. So this is a good veteran defense. For us, we're excited with the home opener. We're excited with the new stadium, and it's time to play football. And at this point, I'll take questions if there are any.
Bobby, regardless of who starts the game, how would you like to ideally divide the series, the reps at quarterback, and how much does that depend on how the game goes?
Yeah, good question. It'll depend on, Ed, how we start and how the quarterbacks are playing. We certainly want to give them an opportunity to go out to get comfortable playing. You know, this isn't going to be a situation where it's, you know, the first time somebody makes a mistake, they're done. We've got to let them play. Only Stevie has played snaps in a game before at Old Dominion. Now, based on both Stone and Messiah, I'm comfortable they'll go out and handle the moment based on their track record. You know, Stone was the player of the year last year in California. Messiah led his team to a junior college national championship. So both of those guys have handled big moments. But I want them to feel comfortable going into the game knowing that whoever starts it, whoever plays is going to get the opportunity to have some success, particularly with the fact, Ed, that there's new faces around them. You know, there's going to be that part of it entering into the game as well.
Coach, with such a tough schedule after this game, are you hoping to have a 1, 2, 3 solidified after this game?
Yeah, that would be nice if we could get to that point during the season. You'd always like to have that critical position, the quarterback position, ironed out. Generally, you like to have it going into the season. It just doesn't always work that way. So if we could come out of it, that's great. If not, then we'll move forward with a plan to continue to develop the position. Again, feeling like we've got 3 guys that can play really good football for us at that position.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you all for coming, and a big thank you again to our special guest in the back of the room, and have a great week, everybody.